In the early hours of July 30th, 2024, the serene landscape of Wayanad, nestled in the heart of the Western Ghats, was shattered by an unforeseen catastrophe. A landslide of unimaginable proportions seared through the district, tearing through homes and livelihoods, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. As the day broke, the magnitude of the disaster began to unfurl.
Welcome back. Let's get you the updates from Wayanad, where the rescue and relief operations continue. It's the 8th day and the death toll has now mounted much further.
So the death toll that is now crossed 400 mark.
The death toll rose steadily, each number a stark reminder of the human impact of this catastrophe. The district, once teeming with life and activity, was now a scene of chaos and despair. The earth, which had moved with such violent force, now lay ominously still, concealing under its heavy shroud those who had been caught unaware. The immediate aftermath of the landslide was a terrifying spectacle. Homes, once filled with laughter and shared meals, were reduced to rubble. The landscape, once lush and verdant, was now a mangled mess of mud and debris. Among the ruins, the desperate cries of trapped victims echoed, each call for help a poignant testament to the human will to survive. In the midst of this chaos, the narrative of the missing began to emerge. Around 600 migrant laborers who had come to Wayanad in search of work and a better life were unaccounted for. Officials were increasingly worried, their concern mirrored in the eyes of those waiting for news about their loved ones. As the hours turned into days, the devastation only seemed to deepen. The local mobile phone network, a crucial lifeline in times of crisis, was severely damaged, exacerbating the problems at hand. The enormity of the situation was becoming alarmingly clear. The once bustling district was now a ghost town, its silence punctuated only by the occasional cry for help or the ominous rumble of the unstable earth. As the dust settled, the once bustling district lay in ruins, with hundreds feared missing and an escalating death toll that left the nation in shock. The cataclysm had unfolded, leaving in its wake a landscape forever altered and a people grappling with loss and uncertainty. Among the missing were around 600 migrant laborers, their whereabouts unknown and their survival uncertain. This unsettling mystery sparked an urgent, intensified search. These laborers, hailing from West Bengal and Assam, had come to the lush, verdant district of Wayanad, nestled in the heart of the Western Ghats, seeking livelihoods in the local tea, coffee, and cardamom plantations. These plantations, particularly those owned by the Harrison Malayali Plantation Limited in the Mundakai region, had become their home, their sanctuary. But in the wake of the landslide, these very havens were transformed into terrifying traps, leaving many buried under the rubble, their cries for help echoing through the devastated terrain. But the search for the missing was not without its challenges. It was a race against time, and every second mattered. The grim reality of the situation began to surface as the search efforts continued. The Chaliyar River, once a serene and tranquil water body, bore the horrifying evidence of the disaster's magnitude. Dead bodies were seen floating in the river, a sight that sent shivers down the spine of even the most hardened rescue workers. These were people who had come to this region, drawn by the promise of a better life, only to meet a tragic end in the very land they had come to cultivate. As relief efforts pressed on, the grim reality of the situation came to light. Bodies floating in the Chaliyar River, a chilling testament to the magnitude of the disaster. In the midst of chaos, temporary bridges became lifelines, facilitating crucial relief operations. These makeshift pathways, reminiscent of Bailey bridges used during the Second World War, became the only means of reaching those trapped in landslide-hit areas. The roads, once teeming with life and activity, were now destroyed, leaving people stranded in areas now nearly impassable. As the lifelines stretched across the devastation, the evacuation process began. It was a Herculean task, a race against time, filled with uncertainty and peril. The rescue teams, undeterred by the enormity of the situation, were committed to bringing each and every individual to safety. In the rubble and debris, the silence was often broken by cries for help, faint but desperate. It was here that another set of heroes entered the field, the army dogs. Trained Belgian Malinois, Labradors, and German Shepherds were fielded, their keen sense of smell critical in locating victims. These canines possessed an extraordinary ability to detect human remains, as well as the breath of those buried in the soil. Their role was pivotal, and their contributions invaluable. These lifelines, the bridges and the dogs, were not just means to an end. They were symbols of hope, of resilience, of humanity's unwavering resolve to fight back against the wrath of nature. They stood as testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity, and the indomitable spirit that pushes us to save lives, even when our own are at risk. Yet even as the rescue efforts progressed, the situation remained precarious. The meteorological department warned of more heavy rain in districts of Kerala already suffering from floods. A red alert was issued, adding another layer of urgency to the rescue operations. The relief teams, however, remained undeterred. Their determination was unwavering, their spirits unbroken. Despite the devastation, the human spirit persevered, with rescue teams working tirelessly, even as forecasts of heavy rain threatened to exacerbate the crisis. In the wake of the disaster, satellite images from the Indian Space Research Organization unveiled the staggering extent of the landslide. The images painted a stark picture of the catastrophe that unfolded in the early hours of July 30th, 2024. An estimated 86,000 square meters of land had slipped, revealing the sheer magnitude of the disaster. The landslide site, situated at an altitude of 1,550 meters above sea level, bore the brunt of nature's wrath. On the ground, the aftermath was no less harrowing. Medical teams working tirelessly on post-mortem examinations were shaken to their cores. The sight of lifeless bodies, some barely recognizable, was a grim reminder of the devastation. The emotional toll on these teams was immense, a testament to the human cost of the disaster. Their trembling hands and weary eyes told a story of loss and despair that words alone could not capture. The Western Ghats, home to the Wayanad district, have long been susceptible to landslides due to a combination of heavy rainfall, steep slopes, and human activities. The landslide wasn't just an isolated incident, but a warning sign of a growing crisis. Climate change, a silent yet relentless force, has been exacerbating these risks. The frequency and intensity of such landslides are projected to increase, posing a significant threat to the communities residing in these vulnerable areas. The scars of the disaster were etched deep into the land and the hearts of the survivors, even as concerns about dark tourism arose amid ongoing relief efforts. The Kerala police made a plea to the public, urging them not to visit the disaster-stricken areas for tourism. Such actions, while seemingly harmless, could hamper the relief efforts and add to the distress of the survivors. In the face of such calamity, it's crucial that we respect the pain and loss of those affected and focus our energies on aid and recovery. After all, rebuilding lives and communities is a collective responsibility, one that requires empathy, understanding, and sustained effort. In the face of tragedy, questions arose. Could this disaster have been predicted or even prevented? As the dust settled in Wayanad, the echoes of warnings issued by the meteorological department began to resurface. The department had cautioned about the forecast of heavy rain in districts of Kerala that were already battling floods. Specifically, a red alert was issued for Kozhikode, Kannur, and Wayanad due to the prediction of a significant 20 centimeters of rainfall in a mere 24 hours. However, controversy swirled around the timing of these alerts. It was a case of too little, too late, according to Kerala's chief minister, Pinarayi Vijayan. He pointed out that the meteorological department had not issued an orange alert for the possibility of heavy rains in Kerala between July 23rd and July 30th. It was only on July 30th at 6 in the morning, after the landslides had wreaked havoc, that a red alert was issued. Vijayan also mentioned that while the alert indicated Wayanad was likely to receive between 115 millimeters and 204 millimeters of rain, the district was inundated with a staggering 572 millimeters of rain in just 48 hours. This discrepancy between the predicted and the actual rainfall underscores the critical need for improved early warning systems. Not only that, but it also highlights the importance of proactive disaster management. In a world where climate change is increasingly making weather patterns unpredictable, these systems are no longer a luxury, but a necessity. As we reflect on the tragedy of Wayanad, the need for improved early warning systems and proactive disaster management becomes painfully clear. The story of Wayanad is a stark reminder of the human cost of natural disasters and the indomitable spirit of resilience in the face of adversity.